For more, let's welcome in Les Borsai, co-founder of Wave Digital Assets. Les, thank you so much for joining us today. All right, so we saw a lot of volatility earlier this month. I cannot believe we're almost at the end of this month. Next week rather, it will be May. But the month started out with so much volatility, skittishness around riskier assets, and that included crypto. Bitcoin, obviously, I know holds the pole position within this sector. When you think about where we stand now, why is there a more aggressive risk-on stance when it comes to Bitcoin?
I think a lot of things have happened. I mean, if we take a look at the history of Bitcoin when it was kind of first created, it was created based on trust and not having trust in central systems, and it was meant to be what it is becoming slowly today. It's decoupling from risk assets, and it was, closely correlated with tech stocks and equities.
Right.
Now what we're seeing is more of a safe haven nature. It's approaching something that is a flight to safety in a way.
Do you really think that, because I know that there had been a conversation that it was the digital gold, basically, for Bitcoin. Now, it had decoupled from that and was trading, like you said,
right,
more like, like the tech sector, for instance. Could it now be more of essentially a leader in terms of a recovery in risk assets versus this idea that it is a safe haven?
No, I think it's more of a safe haven, and I think it's I think it's closer correlated to gold in the sense that that is a digital gold. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, in terms of people, kind of rushing in to buy it, we have a weakening dollar now. We have a lot of factors that are adding to it. We have a president that is de-escalating the trade wars. So, the factor of the institutionals as well coming in at scale. Look, we just had Cantor and SoftBank establish a Bitcoin reserve in the image of MicroStrategy. So I think all of these factors start to allow Bitcoin to stand on its own more as something closely related to gold.
Given that we've reclaimed or I should say that Bitcoin has reclaimed that 90,000 level, do you see it reapproaching that 100,000 level and going further from here this year? What do you make of, especially when you think of technical indicators crossing that 200-day moving average? I
mean, look, for me, a deflationary asset that has a scarce amount is going to increase in value theoretically if we're being pragmatic about it. In 2049, there's going to be 21 million of these things. So the natural inclination that I have is it's going to head in one direction, based on what we know about fundamentals. And I think that's where you hear Michael Saylor constantly talking about giving everything up to invest into Bitcoin, and there's a reason for that.
Why hasn't Ethereum performed in the same fashion as Bitcoin?
I think, there's the lack of kind of really understanding of what it is. With Bitcoin, it's easy. It's a store of value. It doesn't do much more than that. When we look at Ethereum, it's computer programmable money based on the smart contracts. It's much more of a complex asset. You can build on the foundation. You can use it, for economic returns, but there's complexities in the way it yields, for instance, and I think people don't quite understand it completely yet. I also think there's a lot of other factors that are going into the rise of Bitcoin. We have an administration that is incredibly pro-Bitcoin right now. The regulatory climate has eased up, innovation has eased up, so we're going to see fundamental changes that are driven from the administration down. And that just adds to kind of the trust in the asset class. And look at the ETFs. The BlackRock ETF is the fastest performing ETF in history.
I bet. Right. Are you talking about the?
Yeah. So, now we're looking at other products that are emerging in that space. XRP ETF is having a great run right now as well. So I think, the more that alternative currencies kind of emerge, people will understand the value of them.
There are still critics and skeptics when it comes to the sector and say, okay, I guess now that there's some more institutional money around it, that gives it a little bit more credibility. But crypto has been associated with so many scams. What is your response to that?
So is cash. Last I checked, all those good Miami Vice series, they were given briefcases of cash.
Okay, that's a fair response.
And by the way, I mean, in all seriousness, if you take a look at law enforcement today, when they do these seizures that exist across the country, they can take those digital assets and repurpose them for good. You can put them back into education. You can put them back into law enforcement. There's a lot of assets that just sit there that could be repurposed for good.
And then, Les, let me ask you this really quickly. I want to get a final thought from you about the macro picture. There are still some concerns about, deteriorating conditions.
Yeah.
We've still seen some strong economic data, but there are concerns, especially as we get into the next quarter, that we may see that. How do you expect that to impact the crypto markets? I mean,
it's a complicated question. I've been in crypto now, since 2013. And this is a volatile asset class, and I think with anyone that's looking to invest, what the future of this holds, a lot of the things that happen I didn't expect. You start to expect and see the volatility and just say this is a volatile asset class. Act accordingly.
Okay, all right. A volatile asset class, act accordingly. Although lately it's been trading less volatile, but for Bitcoin in particular.
Right.
All right, that's Les Borsai, co-founder of Wave Digital Assets, joining us for a look at the crypto market.